Question.
No.
Hey, Zach, really quick question. Should I also be recording on Audacity, or is this the recording? Okay.
Yes. Do Audacity as well.
All right.
So do Paige, Jessy, and then me, right?
Sure.
Are we?
No, we're introducing ourselves as one unit named Jessica.
Oh, I'm starting first?
Yeah.
Okay.
To people who are just listening, it would be so confusing because I'm like,
Hello.
why?
We are Jessica.
Why have these three voices merged into one human being? Like in audio only.
Everything we say from here on out must be synchronized. Are you guys
Doesn't
ready?
make sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This episode of Cinematary brought to you by Zaxby's. Zaxby's. We got the chicken.
Please bring back the sensation salad.
There
It
you go.
was
It's a
so
summer
good.
thing.
Yeah, what did you order? Please tell us your orders.
What'd you get?
Hmm?
What'd you get?
What'd you get? The
So,
specific names of the.
I like to get the kickin' chicken sandwich because I like a little kick in my step, you know? And so I got that, and I got some French fries, and I don't get ketchup with my French fries at Zaxby's. I get Zax sauce because that shit is good.
That's what you have to do.
I love the notes of Zach's in there.
All right.
Zach, you get it? His name is Zach.
It's all coming
Hi.
together.
I'm Zach, the host of Cinematary, and I'm happy to say that Zaxby's is my favorite chicken-based fast food meal.
Chicken based. Chicken based. As opposed to what? Beef.
Other based fast food meals. All right, we're starting.
All right.
Oh, I need
It's
to
gonna
back
be a
up.
bad episode.
I
Sorry.
need to back up.
Hey, patrons.
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Oh, I messed up. And welcome to episode 346 of Cinematary. I'm your host, Zach Dennis, and I'm here with
Julianna Ramsey.
Paige Taylor.
Jesse Alba.
And Jessica Carr.
or for those watching on YouTube, Jessica.
Jessica.
On today's episode, we'll be talking about movies that we saw this week in part 1, and in part 2, we will be concluding our food and movies series with 2018's Little Forest. And then after this, we're all going to go and disappear into the countryside and become little farmers in a little house in Korea.
Perfect.
Right. And it's
Yeah.
the last movie in the food series, which I'm sad to see it go.
Yeah, that means it's Jessica's last episode ever, because I think
Yeah,
after...
that's it. I'm never coming back. I'm never coming back.
Exactly, she's done. Real quickly, on the site, we got a review last week, Bullet in the Head, the John Woo movie. And then this week, I know everybody's been looking for it, but we finally have the Cinematary take on Zack Snyder's The Snyder Cut of Justice League by Astor Gilbert. So check it out. They're both on cinematary.com. But let's go ahead and jump into movies that we saw this week with it's been around for a while, but I think it's finally more widely available. Jessica, take it away with Minari.
All right. So I have been wanting to see this movie for an extremely long amount of time. Whenever I watched the trailer, I was like, are you telling me that there's this sweet Korean family that is like moving to the Midwest and starting a farm? And also, surprise, Steven Yeun is there and he's in a tank top and he's sweating. Oh my God, I want to watch this movie. Also, there's an adorable little kid. And like a lot of the trailer surrounds like the little boy's like relationship with his grandma. And like that immediately was like extremely captivating to me. But I will say the plot of the movie after I pull it up because I did not prepare.
Do you want me to play for you?
Minari. Yeah, there has been discourse about how to pronounce the title of the movie, but that's what Jesse is saying this. So it takes place in the 1980s, and David is a 7-year-old Korean American boy who's faced with new surroundings and a different way of life when his father, Jacob, moves their family from the West Coast to rural Arkansas. His mom is aghast that they live in a mobile home in the middle of nowhere, and naughty little David and his sister are bored and aimless. When his equally mischievous grandmother arrives from Korea to live with them, her unfamiliar ways arouse why would they use that word there? David's curiosity. Meanwhile, Jacob, hell-bent on creating a farm on untapped soil, throws their finances, his marriage, and the stability of the family into jeopardy. So it's directed by Lee Isaac Chung, and it looks like he's done a couple of other features, but I wasn't familiar with his work before this movie. And it is an Oscar-nominated film, so I'm sure that a lot of people are hearing about it. It has a lot of buzz, but I found the movie to be like extremely captivating. Like it's very slow going, but it's like kind of throws you into the family's experience like immediately. It shows them moving to their new home in Arkansas and having to adapt to that. So like the parents are having to work jobs as like, I think they work at a hatchery and they're like sorting chickens. They're like babies, and they have to check their butts to like see, like check.
They're sexing.
They're sexing the chickens, and like it's
They can see what it's got going on,
and then they
put it in a
sort them.
basket.
Yeah, they sort them because the female chickens are more valuable than the males, and you end up learning that they like discard them, but that's like a side thing. But anyways, so Steven Yeun's character is like trying to get the farm going because he wants that to be his main source of income, his main way of supporting the family. He's tired of doing this. When they were in California, him and his wife had the same job, but she was let go because she wasn't as quick as him. Like he was very good at sorting them and she was behind. And so they pretty much like had to move, and he decided that he wanted to move to Arkansas because he wanted to start a farm. And so obviously like the little boy, David, a lot of the movie is from his perspective. He has some sort of condition where he has like a heart murmur or a hole in his heart. And he's told like throughout the movie that he can't run because they don't want his heart to stop from like him being overactive. And so that is kind of like looming underneath, and like throughout the whole movie, there are just things like looming underneath the surface of the main storyline of like this family trying to assimilate to American culture and moving to this extremely like white town where they're like obviously the only Asian people there. And not only are they like having to assimilate into like white culture, but they're also having to like bust their ass like just to make a living. I don't know if you've ever like worked on a farm, but it's like extremely hard, grueling work. And like throughout the movie, there are tons of obstacles that kind of get in their way where like he's trying to find water and then their water runs dry and then he has to tap into their own water. So they're in debt, and like they can't get enough water for this farm. And all he wants to do is grow Korean vegetables because he says that like if he can grow Korean vegetables, then he will be able to supply like all of the Koreans in the bigger cities with like fresh produce instead of them getting it from California. And so I don't know, like I think the performances are really great. The grandmother is amazing, and like her relationship with David is kind of like a centerpiece. I think it's like her relationship with David and also David's relationship with his father. Like, I think that those are kind of like centerpieces in the movie. Like the marriage is also falling apart and failing, but I think that the movie ends with David and his father like going and picking the Minari plant that the grandmother grows. And so I think that is really like the key of the film. But I don't know, like I think that I think for some people the movie is like extremely slow going and maybe like not as emotionally captivating, because I do think that you have to find some sort of way to relate to it, whether that be like knowing what it's like to be poor and to struggle, or knowing what it's like to be a person of color in a sea of like white faces. Like I think that in some way you kind of have to relate to it in order for it to really like hit the points that it needs to for the movie to stick with you. Did you guys feel that way, or?
Oh yeah, 100%. My family is also Filipino, so that difficulty in trying to have that culture clash is something I'm very familiar with, especially with like my mom, who used to be extremely Filipino in her ways, and now she's this relaxed, mostly American sort of way. It's been funny watching her evolution over the years, but. An entire family being planted and growing in foreign soil, if you will.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, definitely familiar for me, which is why it resonated with me a whole bunch after I watched it.
Yeah.
Also, that little kid is too cute. I just
really
adore him.
sweet.
If you guys will look online, is it Alan
Kim.
Alan Kim. Yeah. He wins an award and he gets really emotional. He's just a precious baby.
And he was like crying and was like, I hope I get to be in many more movies.
He
which
will.
like I think that like kind of touches on the point of the movie too. Like it's about like having a dream and like doing basically everything that you can to make it happen, but forces being against you. Like I think between this movie and First Cow and me like opening up my own business, like my own Asian bakery or whatever, like all of those movies speak to me just because of the American dream perception and like how there are people who think that everyone is on like an equal playing field, but that's just not the truth. Like there are so many things that can help a person in their life that give them better opportunities. And I think like First Cow and Minari, I think they show a different side of it and like what it's like when you don't have those advantages.
Jesse, did you see the movie?
Yes, I did too. Yeah, I was there. I liked it.
I was present.
I was also there. Yeah, I liked it too. I don't know that it hit like quite as close to home for me as it did for Jessica and Paige. But I thought it was really touching. And I could kind of relate to some degree too. Like my grandma was an immigrant from Mexico, and she never, as far as I know, in her lifetime ever really learned to speak English. So I can remember like growing up, she would come to visit with us and she would just like laugh at me because she would like try to say something. And I would be like, Grandma, I don't know what you're saying. She just thought it was so funny. So kind of seeing that dynamic play out with the little boy being very like distrusting and not sure what to make of his like really quirky, not real grandma, because he's like constantly like, she's not a real grandma. She's not cozy. She doesn't make cookies.
Jessica is a grandma then. She makes cookies and is cozy.
Jessica's got some grandma energy.
You're a real grandma, Jessica.
I like it. I like having grandma energy.
Yeah.
I accept my fate.
I thought that kind of reminded me of that, what I kind of had with my grandma a little bit. She could be real quirky and snappy and it was like hard to kind of communicate sometimes with her. I think something that's really like effective to me in the movie is the kind of the big dynamic between the husband and the wife in the family. Because like I feel like you really, in my experience, you really empathize with both of them. You really want to see this guy's dream come true. Like you can tell he's really, really passionate about this farming and he knows how to make it happen. And he's so motivated and energized to make whatever, like however he's going to make it happen, he's going to make it happen. He's really, really motivated to do it. But at the same time, the wife, when they first show up to this plot of land, like plucked in the middle of nowhere, she's like, what the hell? You know, it's clear that this was not really clearly communicated to her, what they were getting themselves into. So you kind of empathize with her of like, yeah, this probably should have been laid out a little bit better, because obviously she would not have agreed to uproot her life in California to go move here in the middle of nowhere, near nobody, doing the little country farmer thing. And they have like a lot of tension building throughout the movie. How are they going to make this work? Are they going to make their relationship work? And the movie doesn't really give you closure on it, but I think you can kind of take it either way. And I think you really, really kind of empathize, at least I did, with both of the characters. Like I could see how this is really unfair for her, and I would be pretty miserable too if I was her. but at the same time, like you just want this to work out for him so bad, and like you want her to be supportive for him. But that was probably my favorite part of the movie, was just kind of seeing their relationship and how that was playing out. So, and I guess I wish that we could have gotten a little bit more Minari. Like, I want to know how you cook it. They just like point at it a bunch and they're like, it's awesome. And I'm like, okay, let's cook with it. They don't.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like symbolism because it grows near the water, and it's something that it's like the grandma brings it from Korea and then transplants it like in this soil where they didn't think that it would like survive, but she ends up picking like the best spot for it, and he like even mentions that whenever he sees how much it has grown. And so I think that is really like what the main thing of the movie is like Paige was saying earlier, of just like transplanting yourself in like foreign soil. Yeah. And that was the other thing, is like, I think that for Paige and I, and probably Jessy too, like we've all like grown up in the South also as people of color. And I think that like a big thing for my family, because like my dad's from Tennessee and my mom's from the Philippines, is like there are so many things in common that like Asian culture has with like Southern culture that I don't think that people recognize. Like they're both very traditional in the things that they do. And I think that Minari is like one of the first movies that I've seen that kind of like talks about that. Mm-hmm. And it was like very refreshing to see something like that, where a lot of the people that I know like are Southern white people that grew up in poverty, and they can watch this movie and also relate to it because of kind of just like the ties in those two different cultures. So it's very good film. I think it deserves all of the recognition that it's getting, and I hope that it wins some Oscars because I don't know what else would win Oscars this year, honestly.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that it might be off-putting, or like kind of some people might struggle with it because it's kind of slow. Because like I would argue that it could be slower. There's a lot of moments. Like the biggest issue I had with the movie is that I don't know, like I never felt like it kind of gave itself time to kind of develop in moments. You know, it kind of would move from plot beat to plot beat to plot beat, which is fine. But I think that there could have been like some more kind of slow cinema moments where you just kind of sit in a scene and there's not really much happening, because I never really got a sense of the place. You know, they say it's in Arkansas. You kind of see the farm. You kind of see the layout of their land. But I never really felt like I got a sense of place there. I you know, the characters, I agree with you on all the characters. I think in Stephen Yeun and the actress who plays the wife, like they're all very good. But I think, and this is more just like a directing criticism, I just felt like I never really got a sense. I never like was able to settle into what was being presented. I kind of felt like it was more being presented to me rather than just kind of opening it up. You know, I thought of Kelly Reichardt a little bit, but also, you know, somebody like Ozu, who just kind of presents these scenarios in like a very like matter of fact, very straight way. And I think, and again, this isn't like the worst thing ever, but you know, this is a movie that's distributed by A24, and there was just kind of like this tidiness, this A24 tidiness to it that kind of took away a little bit of like what impact I felt like it could have had with just kind of setting the scenery. But overall, I mean, I thought the performances were very good. I think Stephen Yeun needs to be in more stuff.
I will say I did not like the evangelical guy. He's this character who kind of pops up and he helps with the farm. And I don't know. He has this thing where he like will kind of speak in tongues and pray a lot. And
I loved him.
I didn't like it at all. And it wasn't because like from an offensive. I don't really know. I'm having a hard time articulate what I didn't like about it. I grew up in evangelical churches where speaking in tongues was the norm, but at the same time, like people didn't go around just in their day-to-day life, like interspersing that within their dialogue. I thought the character just didn't make any sense. Like I thought it felt like just total like hollow caricature. And it wasn't that it like offended me, like from like a Christian perspective or something like that. I don't know. I just felt like there could have been a better way to write that character, and it kind of irritated me a little bit. Like, but that's my really only biggest qualm with it. And then it's okay if you don't agree, but
I don't know. I think Will Pat he is kind of like an absurd character a lot of the times because he just has these moments where you're just like, what are you doing? But like to be honest, like I think it provides like that's like it needed more of that kind of stuff. Like that sets like you get a sense of where they're at whenever he's like doing his thing, you know.
And outsider's perspective, I bet he is super bizarre. If you've never experienced religion like that,
I mean, I have. That's what I grew up in, but I guess I just felt like it didn't feel real at all. Like it just felt silly. It felt goofy to me. That's how I read it.
I'm just so used to the other coin where brown people are caricatures.
Yeah,
so whenever it happens to white people, I'm like, hey, what
are
you gonna do?
Yeah, and it wasn't like I was offended, like this poor white man needed better representation or something like that. I just felt like out of all this like really sweet softness of the movie, it just felt like kind of a dumb joke.
He wanted to be best friends. He wanted to be best friends with Stephen Yeun. I get that. I would do the same thing.
I think that their relationship in the movie is like extremely important because like Stephen Yeun's like his arc in the film is that he is like very stoic and is like, I have to do this on my own. Like I have to do my farm on my own. And this guy comes along and is like, I want to help you. And he is like, I want to show you how to do it here. This is the Arkansas way. Yeah. And like he is like a huge part of his character realizing like I can't do this shit by myself. Like, and whenever the stuff starts to grow, like he looks at him and he's like, good job. And they're like friends. And it's like, so sweet.
I think there's a lot that I did like about his character, but just some of it.
He also like teaches him the way of the land too. Like you can't just go by what you know. If you're a stranger to a new land, you gotta talk to the locals too and get their advice too. You gotta take that into consideration.
Yeah,
so
he's like one of the only fleshed out characters outside of the primary family. In the whole movie, I mean, I think he is like you don't really get it almost anybody else.
Well, I believe Minari is you can rent it or you know wherever you get like on demand stuff like iTunes things like that. So check it out before the Oscars. But another Oscar movie that you guys caught this week, Godzilla versus Kong. Do you want to talk a little bit about Godzilla versus Kong?
What Oscar? What are you talking about?
Is Oscar not the name? Is it not Oscar Kong?
It's Oscar bait. What are you talking about? That was a dramatic, beautiful movie.
So like
a romance.
That Godzilla Kong the lighting in that scene.
Yeah. The plot of Godzilla versus Kong doesn't fucking matter. Like, so we don't even really. I mean, they're fighting each other. It's Godzilla and it's King Kong, and they're gonna like fight each other. But like, the most important thing about this movie for me is that I got to watch it in a movie theater. I got vaccinated like several weeks ago, and I got to watch it in a movie theater. My butt was in a seat. I was surrounded by other people. I smelled popcorn in the air. It was a grand occasion. But like the movie was fine. Like I don't know. I mean, they fought each other. But like Paige made a very good TikTok about Godzilla versus King Kong, where she talked about like, oh, you're not supposed to like care about the people in these movies, but there's like a very sweet little girl who speaks to Kong, and they do sign like she's a deaf little girl who was like a native to Skull Island, and like ended up like King Kong saved her, and they have this special bond, and they sign to each other, and that's when you find out that like King Kong knows sign language and signs with this child, and they love each other, and they have this like extremely good bond. And that is the heart of the movie, and literally the only thing that matters. This is not Godzilla's movie. You see Godzilla like a handful of times, and he's like, I'm bad all of a sudden, and everybody's like, why is Godzilla bad? And then fucking like Mecha Godzilla comes out, spoiler, and it's just like,
girl, you just threw that out there.
yeah, I mean, it's Mecha Godzilla, okay? Everybody knows Mecha Godzilla was coming. He was coming.
You
Everybody
bleep
knew.
that out in the edit.
Literally,
Bleep.
the best thing is that I think it's Julian Dennison, the like kid from Hunt for the Wilder People. They give him the Mecha Godzilla line, and he's like, "It's Mecha Godzilla," and they're just like, they let him have that line, which is great. So they're just like fun things in this movie. But do I know? Did it represent something? Did it mean anything?
Yeah, it did.
I don't know. I don't know.
I really liked when
Jessy did not watch it. Jessy didn't watch it. Jessy went roller skating on the night that we watched it. 5 stars roller skating.
She said, "I don't want to see that dumb monkey."
I didn't say that.
Well,
I said, "I hate apes."
I just love apes.
This movie was directed by Adam Wingard, but like the only way that I knew that it was an Adam Wingard movie is the like synth music and the neon light parts, and that was like
They did too much of that.
that was like a big.
How is that like an indicator of Adam Wingard? That's an indicator of like 90% of blockbuster directing nowadays.
Okay.
I was gonna say.
They made the entire
Alright.
city neon, and I was like, "You're overdoing it. Have some finesse. What are you doing?"
Too much neon. Ugh.
Too much neon.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like complaining that Godzilla versus King Kong is over the top on anything and any aspect of it is sort of like, yeah, it's par for the course, I guess.
Yeah,
the
I guess that's true.
little girl's name is Kaylee Hottle. She's actually deaf in real life, so thank goodness. Very talented little girl.
I
Very
can't believe
sweet.
they had Godzilla signing to
No,
her.
it was King Kong.
King Kong.
Get
oh, okay.
So
That's fair.
that's what I'm saying is like the movie is King Kong's movie. Like it's King Kong starring Godzilla, not
Yeah.
the other way around. Like,
Godzilla was boring in it.
yeah, like I was sad because I thought that King of Monsters was like Godzilla was like charming and we were getting to know him and in this film he's just like, all right, he's like, bitches, like I gotta get this impersonator and that's it.
They did the Pacific Rim mistake. In the first Pacific Rim, you have this sense of scale and how you feel how immense these kaijus are and these robots. And the same thing with King of the Monsters is that they take the time to make you feel really small compared to these monsters. And the second one, this is definitely just WrestleMania with kaijus, which is fine if that's what you're going for. But I like to feel insignificant when I watch a Godzilla movie. I feel important. That's not good. That's not effective Godzilla thing.
Also, if you're gonna make it WrestleMania, then you need to go all out and make it all WrestleMania. Like, don't give me like side sob stories with humans if you're gonna make it like kick ass WrestleMania. Like I don't want half and half. I want full on or nothing.
I want oat milk.
We got oat milk.
I don't know.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Oh, what are you?
All right. Well, Godzilla or King Kong starring Godzilla is in theaters now. If you'd like to be like Jessica and put your butt in a seat,
That's right.
but it's also on HBO Max if you don't want to do that. So, Juliana, we're gonna talk about your parents or the parent movie.
It's time to discuss my parents specifically. I'm interrupting the Jessy, Jessica, everyone, at parade, and also talking about a movie that did not come out this year. Parents, it came out in 1989 by Bob Balaban, I think is how you say his last name. That sounds so wrong.
Balaban.
Yeah. Okay. And it is a horror movie told from the perspective of a kid growing up in a 1950s suburb, and over the course of the movie, he slowly becomes convinced that his parents are cannibals. It's like a really fun movie. It's definitely like, it's my thing because it's very much like a set and costumes movie where it's like perfect 1950s, like exactly what you would picture. And like all the cooking and stuff is like stuff suspended in aspic and all that kind of deal. So like I think that was like a really fun. You're distracting me with your cat.
That's what they all say.
Yeah. But anyway, the set was like really elaborate, really fun, like very not realistic, like kind of contrived. Which I enjoyed, like that attention to detail. And the plot is honestly pretty straightforward. I saw a lot of people kind of describing it as like almost like a Kids Bop, Goosebumps, David Lynch kind of movie, where it's all about like, you know, like the dark side of suburbia. But I think it was really successful because it's like super vague in the end of it, where it could be like legitimately that the parents are cannibals, or it could be kind of like it's all told from the kid's point of view, so you could kind of see it as like his overactive imagination. And they have these really cool like dream sequences, like where he like is jumping into his bed to go to sleep near the beginning of the movie, and he ends up like jumping into this big swirling pool of blood, and it's like very dramatic. Like it can be kind of a comedy in some places, but like those scenes are like kind of like very intense, especially for something that's like, I think it's actually rated R, but it feels like very PG-13-ish. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it. It's not like a super duper scary like movie, but it's definitely worth it just for like the sets. And Randy Quaid plays the dad, and he's like the perfect like sitcom, almost like 50s dad. So yeah,
That sounds good. Did you watch it?
Yeah, it's kind of it's interesting because I know Bob Balaban. He's kind of like he's a good little character actor. I didn't realize when you were talking about it for the podcast that he had actually. I didn't know he directed any movies before.
Yeah, he's definitely much more well known for being an actor. I believe he's been in like a couple of Wes Anderson movies. But yeah, and this is also like pretty young Randy Quaid. And then I don't think there's any other like big actors in it. The kid who's in it does like an awesome job, but I don't think he's in any other movies. But yeah, I think I watched it. I rented it on like Amazon or something. It's not super widely available. It's not like a big blockbuster, but I would say it's definitely worth the watch.
That sounds good.
Cool. And you were saying, where did you watch it?
I believe I rented it off of Amazon. Yeah.
All right. Well, next week we'll dig into your actual parents.
Okay, good. Yeah,
we'll get deep.
Free therapy session.
We'll take care of that. All right, we're gonna take a quick break, and we will be back talking Little Forest after this.
Sweet.
The real Little Forest of the friends we made along the way.
Wow.
You have to stop the audio now.
Yes.
Little. All right. Anything we want to say to our viewers at this halftime mark?
Who is viewing
anybody
us?
watching us?
Yeah, who's
nobody. But I mean, people will watch later. You can
In the future. Wait.
Oh, you can talk to Ron. Hey, Ron.
Yeah, I didn't send the link out to my patrons, so
do it now.
Sorry.
Send it to your patrons now.
Sorry, patrons. I've already.
Someone hop on right now.
I sent them a bunch of stuff.
Please watch.
Well, I hope you're having a cozy evening with your glass of wine. And stay cool, Ron.
Yeah. What is everyone drinking other than oat milk?
Water.
I have a chai, an herbal chai. It doesn't have actual tea in it.
Get some more water.
Your scooty chair noises.
It's very loud.
Oh yeah, I do want to show these little snacks I brought.
This is insane.
Yeah.
Hey,
You're stuttering a bit.
Yeah, hey, Golden Girls, your stream's laggy.
Oh no.
Shit. Golden. Surprise, you call me a grandma.
All right, I'm gonna get them out. I'm gonna let them figure that
Bye.
out. You guys figure that out.
Dark show.
Dun, dun, dun. Little Forest, more like Little Boring.
I feel like I have to preface that I thought it was nice, but
you don't have to preface that. You just be like, no, it just didn't do it for me. Are you done lagging?
Yes.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have control over this.
Are we still lagging?
I don't have control over
You're
our
a little crispy looking.
That might just be normal.
crispy. What does that mean?
Okay, I'm gonna say a number and hold my hand up. Tell me if it's at the same time. Okay, ready? 2,
Crispy.
5,
No.
Yeah, guys,
4,
you're still lagging.
Yeah,
3,
Shit.
5.
it is
Is
not
everybody
safe.
in from the Wi-Fi?
I don't see
What?
how. I don't see how. It's like Jesse's like over here losing her mind. I don't see how that. I don't see how that works.
Are we really lagging or not?
You were.
When you guys all got up and started moving around, I think it was much for like
Yeah.
the computer. But now that you're all sitting, it's like fine.
Are you
Yeah.
sure? Are you still
Now
there?
it's time to go into the snacks.
No,
Jesse,
we're good.
Jesse, get your cookies.
Oh,
Snack show and tell.
Jesse made cookies. Okay.
Hey guys, why didn't you real quick? And this is a Patreon exclusive call out. Why did you guys not invite Julianna to your little party?
Yeah, I live in Knoxville. Hey,
Do we have room in the camera?
Are you vaccinated?
I am half vaccinated, so understandable why I'm not.
Julianna's like, I got a 50%. Like, come on.
Almost there.
I made some very wholesome, authentic,
Cookies.
homemade.
See, who's the grandma now? I didn't even bake cookies.
Should I eat this flour for the podcast?
What was that face for?
And this one.
Wow, those look good.
That's a good one.
Confetti. They look like confetti sprinkles.
You know who would have loved those cookies? Julianna.
Wow.
I'll make you
Julianna.
cookies. I'll make you cookies.
Okay, to be fair, I ate some of Jessica's cookies like a week ago. So
Exactly.
I know
See, Zach
know
played
what's up.
along, man.
Okay, this.
Here, Juliana.
Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you.
Oh, that was sweet.
That was good.
There we go.
Now some cute, wholesome content. Patreon exclusive.
Wow.
This is a marble Swiss roll cake. You
Ooh.
can find it at Lucky Asian Mart in Knoxville or any Asian market for that example.
Is that for that example?
Whatever. I don't know what I was trying to say there. But,
Bada-boo.
and then these are like little, they're called baby ball cookies. They're little butter cookies. And they're just like the babiest of cookies, but they're so crispy. Oh, yeah, okay.
You can see
They're
they're like
cute.
little nugs.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Little nugs.
Little nugs.
They're like very small, crispy, light cookies. Makes for a great snack with a cup of tea.
Looks like a little biscuit.
It does look like a biscuit. They're made out of potato starch, so they kind of melt in your mouth a little bit.
Sounds like meringue. I'm gonna try one.
Yeah.
You guys ready? You want that?
Paige is like, can I eat a flower?
I just want to see like if it's valid that she eats flowers, but I've never
Should
had
we
one,
do
so it's
it?
not my place to
We should do it
to
when we're
judge.
recording too. Like you can just describe it, right?
describe like Ratatouille. Describe the
Yeah,
flowers.
yeah, yeah.
I'm eating it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's
Should I do?
relevant.
What if I'm allergic?
You're not.
Then you'll blow up like a balloon and it'll be
That's
like
good
rolling out of here.
I
podcasting.
think it's worth the risk.
What if I?
Do you have any
did?
Benadryl?
All right, let's go. Let's start. 3, 2, 1.
I keep hitting my head on my cup.
But we're not really. He was joking.
Oh, it was a gag.
I was gonna start really quickly, so then when you egg the cookie and you start blowing up, it's like, all right, part 2, and you were just like, what?
Yeah.
No, we should start part 2 though. That's a good
Yeah,
idea.
please do. Yeah.
All right.
At some point.
Jesse's go to bed.
When we talk about the flower eating part, maybe I will. I don't
Yeah,
know.
you should.
I'm thinking. I'm
You
thinking.
could have made
thinking about
dandelion.
it.
Could have
Why
made
don't you,
dandelion
like,
tea. I've
Lick
seen
it a
that.
little bit.
And then like, oh, do it here. I'll just I'll put it on my hand
As
a
a
little bit
tease?
to see if I react.
Like a patch test.
Yeah, I'm doing a patch test
No,
on my
cut
hand.
your-
Are you allergic to pollen?
Cut your hand open and
See.
stick the petals in there.
Okay, get me a knife.
Infuse yourself with this flower.
I really hope this will do wonders for the live stream. If like you have a reaction and Jesse like has an EpiPen, is like, and like Jessica's over there just like, and I like how the mom talks about this.
You put it on YouTube and like
the mom
cast the title.
abandoned her daughter.
Yeah.
I just like when they cook the cabbage pancake and Jesse's over there like, live, Paige, live!
The food. I was talking about the psychology.
Yeah, that's fine.
And I'm just eating flour.
I got my
I'm just kidding. We don't.
Paige is like, I like the flower part.
I'm cool with that. I don't care.
I like the eating flowers part. It's like a rabbit.
Oh wait, Zach, I was gonna ask you if after we kind of like close on the movie, because I don't think that it will last that long, if we can just talk about the series as a whole to like end out the second part.
No, it's not good.
It tastes
Oh
bad.
my
It's not yummy.
Did you eat it?
No,
I
it's
love the series as a whole. Yeah, that's fine.
No,
It's all
no.
withered.
Did you wash them?
No.
No.
You're supposed to eat them as.
When I did my face like that, I look like the fancy Winnie the Pooh.
It's
Actually,
very
let's take out my
You too.
straight from the ground.
Oh.
Like a good.
All right. Will you stop eating flowers? We're gonna start the
All
podcast.
right, yeah, reel it in.
Here we go.
For real it is.
In
Reel it in.
three. In 3, 2, 1. And we're back with part 2 of episode 346 of Cinematary. In this part, we will be concluding our food movie series with 2018's Little Forest. There's not much on this movie, I'll be honest. I just have like the basics. It's directed by Yim Soon Rai from a script by Hong Sang-gu, and the film stars Kim Tae-ri, who is from The Handmaiden, which we talked about before, Ru Jun Yul, Moon Soo-ri, and Jin Kai-ju. And it's about a young woman who grows tired of life in the city and returns to her hometown in the countryside. And it's based off of manga as well.
Hey, I think we may be having some technical difficulties.
Like what?
Our audio is not recording.
Paige is not seeing big sound wave.
Oh, okay. Well, let's turn it off.
I'm so sorry. That's not my-
This is what eating flowers gets you.
You're right, Paige.
Why
This
would
is the allergic
I literally
reaction.
didn't. Okay. Say something.
Hello.
Mm-mm.
It looks different than before, though. Last time there was like big green sound wave.
Where's the big green?
Yeah, do you just exit out of it and go back in, or?
Let's do this instead. How about that?
This is really behind the curtain.
Okay, there we go. We got it. Okay, cool.
We get it?
Sorry.
There you go.
I'm starting over.
Yeah. Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. And we're back with part 2 of episode 346 of Cinematary. In this part, we will be concluding our food and movie series with 2018's Little Forest. There's not too much information on this one. So this one is directed by Yim Soon Rai from a script by Hwang Sang-gu, and the film stars Kim Tae-ri, who's from The Handmaiden, which we've covered on this podcast, Ryu Jun-yeol, Moon Soo-ri, and Jin Kai-ju. The film is about a young woman who grows tired of life in the city, returns to her hometown in the countryside, and is based off a manga of the same name. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it. Jessica, I know you're a big fan of this movie as you put it in the series. So why don't you talk a little bit about your experience with Little Forest?
Okay, so I put this movie at the end of the series because it is one of the, like, we usually go in chronological order, and it was like one of the newer movies that has come out that has been about someone's like individual journey with food. And I picked it for the food series because it kind of uses food as escapism, which we haven't really seen in the series so far. Like, usually people use food as like, oh, I was born to do this. This is my career. Or like with Babette's Feast, where it was like, I'm using food to show other people my culture. But like Little Forest is different because it's kind of like, I'm using food as escapism from my real life, and I'm also using it to cope with the fact that the person who like taught me how to make all of this food like is a very complicated individual that I don't really have a relationship with. Mm-hmm. And so it kind of uses food as like a coping mechanism and escapism, and something that we haven't really seen in the series before. And so I thought that was really interesting. But like when I watched this movie not too long ago, I think in like 2019, and I actually watched it when I was like sick or something, which was a weird experience because I was like just alone. I wasn't feeling very good. And I watched the movie because everyone was saying like, this is Jessica's movie. This has Jessica's energy. And whenever someone says that, like, obviously I want to watch it because I'm like, what are you guys talking about?
I'm glad we weren't wrong about that. That would have been awkward if you watched it and you were like, this sucks.
If it was like a cannibal movie and you're like, this is Jessica's energy. And I'm like, what?
Sometimes it is.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, and like whenever I first watched it, I obviously like the plot is kind of like meandering, and so that isn't really what I was paying attention to, but I kind of like lit up immediately when she started cooking. And it was like one of the first newer movies that I had seen that just like focused specifically on like showing explicitly what the character was cooking. It wasn't like a shot that was like, oh, let's fast forward through the cooking and just watch them eating, but that's not really the important part. It was like the cooking was like the main focus of the shot and what the film was like trying to show. And like when she first made the like dough soup with like the fried cabbage, I was like, okay, we're in. I'm into this movie. This is a great start. And then it kind of just goes to it kind of like goes into just like they were joking. I've never played Harvest Moon, but they were saying that it's kind of like Harvest Moon the movie, and it just like is a very gentle film that takes you from season to season as this woman is like growing these things to make these dishes that her mom taught her to. And like all of that stuff was like very captivating to me. And it's like, do I think that this is the most interesting movie in the world? Surely not. But do I constantly in my mind every day that I'm living on this earth think about the dishes that she makes in this movie? Yes, I do. So
it was funny because as we were watching it, like I saw it fairly recently too, but as we were watching it, she kept mentioning specific things like, oh, now she's about to do this thing, and I'll be like,
yeah, you're like perfect recall on everything.
On
was
every food
eerie.
scene.
I was just like, I only remembered eating flowers. All right, though.
Yeah, I don't know, like kind of stuff like
I only remembered the flowers.
I have made probably 3 dishes like out of this movie. And it's like it's kind of like with Chef. Like when I saw Chef, I was like, I have to immediately eat at all of these restaurants that he goes to. And I've eaten at almost every single restaurant that is in Chef the movie. So I don't know. It's like weird. It's like a weird thing for like a food person who also likes movies to like see these things and be like, okay, like I have a goal in my life now that I have to make that. Really? Zach is just like, that is not even true.
Zach is acting up in the caption.
Zach is acting like a child.
Zach is after it, man. He was making fun of me for people who can't see this.
For people who are just listening to this, Zach is putting bad banners on the video. If you're curious as to what the banners are, then check out the video. If not, then let's just move on to something else.
He's making fun of me for yawning. Zach, it's like my bedtime. I go to bed.
So, Jessy, what did you think about Little Forest?
Oh boy. Well, yeah, I definitely. Well, like that's something that me and Paige pointed out as we were watching it was how much this feels like a Harvest Moon or like a Stardew Valley, the movie. Not only in that it's just like, oh, you're a girl from the city, but now you're going to move to the country. And, oh, you're going to plant and have some animals. And maybe there's some romance. And you're going to meet the villagers, which is just the plot of any of those little farming sim video games. But also, even like the music is very video gamey. Just every little musical drop, Paige was like, it's like Stardew Valley.
I mean, the movie got me hyped. Even there was like a shot of a snail, and I screamed. I just love it.
Yeah. The movie does such a pretty job of I mean, really, really focusing on, I think that's what you're talking about. It was like the sensory experience.
I was going to talk about that.
So I'll let you have that.
You saw my Googling.
Yeah, I did. But it's true. But I'll let you have that. I'm not going to steal that from you. But it also, I don't know. It's just kind of a cute movie about the relationships that are kind of going on around it. The girl, she's kind of. What are you laughing at, Zach?
like you're like working. You're just like, it's just the girl. She makes food.
Going, and all of a sudden she's like, and now Jessy, and I'm like,
Take it away.
Me already.
I was transitioning the conversation.
Okay.
Segue.
Well, it a lot of what it meditates on besides food and the farming experience is these like different relationship dynamics that the main character has. She originally moves away from the pressures of city life because she's kind of avoiding ending a romantic relationship that she's feeling some guilt about. She's also kind of avoiding responsibilities after graduating college. She's like, it says she's trying to become a teacher, and I'm not sure if she didn't pass her teaching exams or like what the deal was, but it seems like she's decided like for one reason or another she's not going to do that. So she's kind of avoiding the big girl responsibilities that she knows she needs to. And you're sort of like maybe not really on board with that, but you kind of learn throughout the movie that this is definitely a learned habit for her from kind of her mom, and how her mom sort of shirked a lot of responsibilities and kind of had a happy-go-lucky life, and then all of a sudden her mom just gets up and leaves her one day when she's about to graduate high school. So she's definitely got some issues, I think, with attachment with other people. There's a lot of scenes throughout the movie where she just doesn't quite relate or connect with people the way they kind of want her to. And I think that's just like a difficulty.
How does
Zach has said Little Forest same vibes as the Rugrats movie, which we were discussing before we started recording.
It does. Because in the Rugrats movie, there's the whole, they have the whole song.
Chucky's having a mom.
Yeah, and Chucky's like, I want a mom who will last forever. Like, that was the same vibe.
And he gets an Asian mom.
See?
He does. Anyway.
It's same vibes.
It's a perfect double feature of this and Rugrats.
The No Mom, Reptar is there. Yeah,
that's right.
It's the same movie.
You got it.
Oh yeah, Reptar. They had Godzilla in their show, which is what her basically was.
Yeah, Reptar
it all
was
comes together.
Reptar was copyright.
Sure.
Yeah. Julianna, what about you? What did you make of Little Forest?
Little Forest, I thought it was really cute. I loved all of the cooking scenes. Like, I am definitely really into that. Just like, I don't know. I think cooking on film, like, even though I haven't been part of the rest of the series, is like something that is like so like intimate and beautiful. And when she's like stringing up, I think the like persimmons at the end, like those scenes really stick out to me. And I also really like the dynamic between her and her mom. And even though she's like an absent figure through the entire film, and her like kind of reconnecting and trying to understand her mom through cooking. And it's like the kind of escapism, as Jessica was saying. But like, I don't know, like the plot was just kind of like the whole dynamic with her two friends, and it was like sort of a love triangle, but then it like sort of isn't. And
that one friend had no shot. She was not even communicating.
I don't think he was ever really that disappointed that it didn't work out either. Like,
they had sibling energy. There was no sexual anything with any of them.
I think my thing is with the film is that I feel like it doesn't necessarily have to have a conflict, because like in my head, there are plot films and there are like vibes films. And this one is definitely like vibes, but it also kind of tries to have a plot. And I feel like it doesn't really commit to any of the conflicts other than like the mom one, which is there like throughout the film. And so I kind of really could have done without the whole like friends thing. I feel like they were in there just so they could have like the main character think her thoughts out loud. Which I'm like, I feel like they could have figured out a better way to do that. And then also like, I kind of wish that like, when she moves away from the big city, like at the beginning, she leaves a boyfriend behind. And I remember she's like writing him or texting him or something, being like, oh, don't worry, I'm going to come back. Like, I'll visit you. And she just doesn't. And it kind of nothing happens with that. Like the boyfriend just kind of off screen gets dumped. And like it seems like she's not invested in the relationship, which is like totally fine. But like there's kind of no consequences for like stuff she leaves behind. So I kind of wish, like, it's just such a sweet movie that I feel like diving in like just a little bit into the consequences of like some of her actions would make it like a little bit more balanced for me. But I mean the cooking and the like the scenery, it's like a postcard. Like it's so beautiful. Like it's definitely one of those movies that you just want to like crawl inside of and like get comfortable. Like it's so sweet. But I just I don't know.
Blanket. Perfect.
Right. It's so sweet. And it's like raining and there's the dog that's beautiful.
Oh.
Dude, she ditches that dog though, because she's like, I'm gonna go. She goes, I'm gonna go find myself. Can somebody watch my dog and chicken? I was like, the hell? You can't just leave those animals like that.
Attachments with anybody. Like she can't form attachments with anybody, and it's because of her relationship with her mom. Like that's.
I mean, whatever. Like
that's what the whole thing is. Like she doesn't understand people she connects to.
She leaves the dog because she can't get along with her mom. Like, what'd the dog do? The dog's just sitting there.
I thought it was kind of a weird plot for her to be like, well, time for me to go back to the city for.
Oh, I don't care about the plot. I'm saying that's animal abuse. You can't just leave a dog outside.
Okay, but she left it with the dude.
Yeah,
she left a note.
She didn't abandon.
He could have been like, I'm taking the weekend off and not showing up till Monday, and then that dog's dead. And then how does she feel? Then she comes back with her onions and is like, I found myself.
She's an extremely flawed character. I think that we can all agree that she is.
Wow.
Make that the band.
Venom today.
Frustrating, but like let's talk about the guy. Let's talk about how much he sucks, because he really, really also sucks.
They all suck.
Yeah,
I'd punt the whole village.
He's very mean to her all the time, like pelts tomatoes at her and then tells her like, you're worthless. Why are you helping me pick up these apples? You should just leave. I'm better off without you. He says these kinds of things to her all the time in conversation.
Also not hot.
I know.
Yes, we were talking about that.
Okay,
like just not hot.
I thought he was fine.
Yeah.
Before we give
on a scale of 1 to 10, Zach, what do you think he is?
4.
Ah,
that's what I said.
Okay.
4.
I said 3.
I'm gonna have to look at a picture of this man because I remember him being fine.
He's fine, but you're not. He's fine, but you're not like changing your life for this guy.
There's a lot of like this angle from him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like they specifically gave him bad angles.
He's a settle. He's a settle. Like he's like the guy you're actually in love with. It didn't work out, and you settle for him.
Wow.
The crappy thing was like you would settle more for him if he had like a really warm, like sweet personality, but his personality is like a brother.
Yeah,
like,
his personality blows. I mean, he doesn't look good.
I just wouldn't say
he's just gonna be pumping you with missionary for the next 20 years. Like fuck.
Whoa!
There's that sexual
content.
Okay, I will just say, I think physically, like he's a nice looking guy, but he does have that never left his hometown energy, which sometimes it's not great.
Tell it to the people.
No. Tell it to the people, Paige. This is not about Little Force, but if you've been listening to the food series, I'd like to personally apologize for all the sexual things.
Why? Don't apologize. We should be sexual.
Sorry.
I
think I'm sorry.
And specifically when I said suck the head.
Why apologize? No.
Because I was talking about the fish head, like literally doing it, nothing else.
No, but that was one of my things. Like, honestly, all these characters are super boring. Like, just boring, bland people. Like, I get it. Like, she has mom issues. You know what? A lot of people do. That doesn't make you interesting. Like, your mom left. That sucks. You know? So what? We got to watch you make cabbage pancakes because you can't talk about your parents.
Oh my God.
You're telling me that these don't feel like real people to you. Like these don't feel like people who really.
No, none of them felt.
I agree, but I still like it.
Yeah.
As a kid that grew up just staring at Windows 95 screensavers, I can tell you I can enjoy stimulus without being intellectually drawn in.
Hey, but like that audio player when you would listen to music and it would do like.
I don't need to be intellectually stimulated, but like give me some hot people who are like wanting to bang each other.
But
like
this
guy wanted to.
Your objection is that it's not horny enough.
Well,
where's Ash? Where's Ash? Yeah, it's not horny enough.
We're invoking the spirit.
It's like they went out the way to find these hot girls, and then they're like, what guy is free? Hey,
you're telling me that scene with the creme brulee is not horny? Come on, whenever we cracked
a little bit.
That's the only thing they're tapping, man.
Was that the sexual content?
There was the sexual content.
The creme brulee?
This was like PG-13. Part of it was sexual content. It was the creme brulee. It was when they cracked into the creme brulee. That was it.
I think it depends on like your mileage for sensory-based films. For me, that goes a long way. I mean, I kind of feel like we're more forgiving towards that kind of thing with horror. Like, what is the name of the vibe horror movie? It's all about the vibes, not the plot and the characters.
Suspiria?
That's a vibe only movie. You're not gonna give a shit about the characters. You're not gonna care about the plot. You're there to vibe. And that's the way I view Little Forest. If you come in knowing that, then yeah, you'll have a good time. But if you come in wanting a narrative and you want characters, it's gonna fucking suck.
I guess I just feel like if you're the kind of person who can sit and play Harvest Moon for like 8 hours in one sitting and just farm over and over and talk to little dumb villagers and hear their same dumb little conversation points
if
all the
that
time.
does something for you,
then you will love this movie.
Let me just tell you the summary on Letterboxd for this movie is: have some break. Delicious 4 seasons are waiting for you.
Yeah, that was poorly written, both grammatically and to some
So I had a feeling as I was reading through these comments that I was in for a just close your brain about the plot and the characters, and that's why I love it so much.
Just a cozy time.
Yeah, I really like tasty videos. I like just staring into aquariums.
Yeah.
So if you can do that for hours at a time,
tell us more about the sensory experiences this movie, Paige.
What? No, I mean that's all I got.
Well, just like it feels almost like an ASMR like video.
It does. Yeah, there's a lot of really like wonderfully shot bits of food and nature. That problem that you had Minari, if they took some of the direction that they had in Little Forest and put that in Minari, I agree with you, Zach. It would feel like a more rich world.
But like the cooking, I mean, it's like you're just right there with it. Like you can almost feel the steam on your face if she's cooking something. You can hear it sizzling. You can almost taste it and smell it. Like they really bring it to life, I think.
Yeah.
They
really plant you in this world for sure. But I just completely ignored the characters. I have the fabulous ability to ignore human beings, whether
the food stuff is great. I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying that like if we're just gonna sit here for an hour and a half and then we're gonna talk about a movie and it's just gonna be that kind of stuff. I mean, I can just watch TikTok and watch Tabitha Brown cook stuff. Because Tabitha Brown will entertain me while she's cooking stuff. All these people will do is milk toast me with boring conversations, and I want a mom who will last forever.
I bet if it was in English, I would hate it because I would have a harder time ignoring the characters. So maybe that's what it is like I can just zone out.
I'm telling you, it's just it needs to be hornier.
My thing is,
most of the time I agree with you.
Where
Zach,
would you put the sex scene?
Like
and with who? With the dude? Because
no, that guy sucks. I would recast him and get a hotter guy.
Who should be in there?
Huh?
Who should be in there? Who's your dream cast for Little Forest the reboot?
Like imagine. Let's go back to part 1. Imagine if like Steven Yeun was the hot. Like you went back to your hometown and there's Steven Yeun. He's just like, yeah, I'm just the farmer now.
That's just Burning. Go watch Burning, and that's
Dude, Burning's so good. That just reminds me, how good is Burning? It's such a good movie.
Yeah,
Why are we talking about that movie? They cook stuff in that.
Because the episode is about Little Forest. Come on.
Juliana, what were you going to say?
Have some.
I was gonna say my thing is that like I love a vibes movie and like I like love Suspiria and that sort of thing. But I think that like I just wish because like the whole movie they're like it's all about reconnecting with my mom. I gotta reconnect with my mom, yada yada yada. And they explore it to a certain degree, but I feel like the main character just like doesn't grow that much. But it's also the kind of thing I kind of see it both ways because there's a great quote from like I believe her name is Barbara Brown Taylor, where she's like talking about like the little rituals of every day, like cooking, doing laundry, all the like boring shit that you have to do, and how it's like water dripping on a stone, like it changes things really, really slowly, but it makes your life so much better. And I feel like this is like the movie is trying to be about that, and it's like her relationship with her mom, she's understanding her through cooking. And so I feel like it wants to be like a really character-driven movie, but it just kind of struggles. And I think that's where I have the problem with it. Like, hell yeah, cooking.
Like Ghibli is a lot about that too. Is like romanticizing the mundane, but their characters are good. So now
Their
I'm
characters
like,
are
right. Which is why I'm like, it's like I watch this movie and I'm like, okay, I see what you're getting at. But like, I just want more. Like if they had just like developed it a little bit more. I mean, I don't know anything about the source material, but I'm just sort of like, it's like almost there. But yeah, so it's like I could do just vibes, but it kind of tries to do more than that and doesn't.
Well, yeah, with vibes, like you got to make sure you have like people you're interested in. You know, think about like a movie that we've talked about on the podcast recently. Lovers Rock, which is very much like an all vibes movie, and it doesn't really have too much of a plot, but like there's something like engaging about those characters because they kind of have like a personality, and like I never really felt like we got much of a personality from these. You know, you get the friend who she's upset with her job and kind of wants to be in love with this guy even though he didn't really care about her. And that's fine because he's super boring and he just wants to farm, and all of that stuff is fine, but it's not interesting at the end of the day for like, you know, like they have like the drinking and like talking scene. But it just feels like everything they're talking about, the only like real moments that ever happen in this movie is when she is talking about her mom and like having those like flashback moments and stuff. Cause that feels like some like actual, like we're progressing somewhere. Everything else just kind of feels like we should just substitute, going back to the point that we made at the top, like just get rid of the friends and just have it be about her and her mom and then her cooking, because that's the only times it's ever like kind of engaging.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I also agree with Juliana as well. But for me, the like food stuff just outweighs all of it. It doesn't change like how much I enjoy the movie. So that's really what it boils down to, like for me personally.
Boils down.
There's really one scene or two, I guess, but one in particular where she makes like some pasta and she puts some flowers on it, and it's pretty interesting.
Just a little sprinkle of flowers, you know.
Several. It's a generous amount of flour.
It's
you're kind of watching her just like take a big old forkful and just shove that flour in her mouth, and it's like, wow. So we have some flowers here. I was still thinking
flowers as in outside flowers, not flowers as in all-purpose.
We brought some dandelions.
Just to clarify,
Paige made sure that she Googled to make sure that they were edible.
Are you asking?
Yeah, you can eat dandelion heads.
You technically can, yeah.
Yeah, you can eat every part of a
dandelion. Technically, you just see. There's a lot you can technically eat.
It's very powdery.
You can eat it.
Have you ever had dandelion root tea? It's really good. And then you can put the leaves in salads, and then you can actually take the heads of the dandelion and fry them. They're really good.
Paige is not gonna do it. I'll do it.
I just licked it, and I don't like it.
I mean, I don't either.
So, Juliana, what was your favorite dish that they made in the movie?
It smells good.
It's been a little while since I watched it, and I feel like the only ones I remember are her like stringing up the persimmons, and then there's something she was like fermenting in a jar, because I feel like that was like part of the plot was where she was like, oh, I have to stick around because I just put this stuff in cans and it's not gonna be ready for a few more months, like that kind of thing, which
that's the whole movie. It's her going,
which, honestly, very inspirational procrastination to dealing with real life. And then the like cabbage cakes, and I remember very clearly the when she's shaving the bonito flakes. Like that's like so
mom tells her it's like a tree. It's like a tree flakes.
Did you eat it?
Yeah, and also like that was like the standout scene for me, where it was like where she's like, oh, my mom made this for me when I was a kid, and I thought that she had invented it, and I was like, whoa, she's the most amazing person ever, yada yada yada. And then when she moves to the big city, she sees like a street vendor making it, and she's like, what the hell? My mom didn't invent that.
Yeah.
Which I thought was like a really cool like piece of character.
Yeah. I thought that part was really good.
Yeah.
I want to make the chestnuts that are in syrup because they look so good, and it takes her like a really long time. And like, it's interesting that you bring up the procrastination thing. It's like, yeah, she's like good at procrastinating when it comes to like her personal life, but the things that she's making takes like lots of time and dedication, and she is like planting things that she's watching them grow and then using them in things. And like, she ferments a lot of stuff. Like, she makes the alcohol by like soaking the rice for a long time, and she soaks the chestnuts like in the syrup, and like all of these things are things that she is like doing to fruition. So it's like it's like the opposite of what she's doing in her life. Like, she is like planting things, watching it grow, and then using it in things that she can enjoy, which is like not how she's not doing any of that in her personal life. Like, she's not watering and tending like the relationships in her life. She's kind of just letting them rot and like fall to the ground. And so I thought that aspect of the movie was really interesting, that they kind of like parallel each other.
My favorite meal was when she popped over to McDonald's and got a Big Mac and chicken fries.
What dishes have you made from this movie?
So I've made the cabbage pancake, which was very good.
Oh, rank them too.
And I've made the pasta sans the flowers. Like, I don't have edible flowers, but like,
you don't fuck with flowers?
No, I don't make.
Jesse just ate one.
I did. I'll show the camera. You see where you see just that used to be yellow.
Did you suck on it? Like, why didn't you just eat it?
Nibbled.
What the hell? Like,
she was savoring.
I don't think you ate that right.
There's a
I think you can just pop the whole thing in your mouth.
Yeah, you can just pop it in your mouth and eat it.
I ate it how I wanted to. So.
Yeah, sorry. We're being
all right.
It was not good. It's fine.
But yeah, I feel like there's a lot of care and like tender that is put into the food aspects of the film, but I definitely agree with like the personal relationships not really measuring up to it. But I still think about the like dishes in this movie all the time, so that's really seals the deal for me.
I think it's lovely and sweet. I think it's.
I like that rice she eats out of the little packet thing in her apartment. She's just like,
I know, she spits it out. Okay.
That's like gas station. That's like gas station rice, which sounds awful.
Yeah, she's
like eating gas station sushi. It's the equivalent of gas station.
Who among us hasn't eaten?
What? I think you. Have you talked about like the cottage core-ness of this? I mean,
that shit. Yeah, it's cottage core as hell.
Yeah.
I'm wearing my farmer's hat that I got because I volunteer to garden now. So this is my gardening hat that I had to buy.
If you all are not aware of the phenomenon that is cottage core, be sure to look it up.
Who isn't aware of that?
I mean, maybe cottage core is a strange word. I feel like
probably just Ron.
I think the like Tumblr-y crowd certainly knows, but maybe not the mainstream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think
like cottage core is just like,
common household term, I would say. But yeah, so gardening, farming, cows, flowers, chicken
Cute stuff. I mean, it's just like romanticized rural farming stuff.
Yeah.
It's lots of floral and like plaid picnics and things like that.
Soft nature.
Yeah. I've always loved just like floral things in general, so I kind of gravitate towards cottagecore stuff anyway. Also, we live in the South, so it's like pretty easy to
The
also...
South is cottagecore.
Yeah, basically. Cottagecore and racism, that's...
Oh, man.
The two, equal but opposite. Maybe not.
Racism is not cottagecore.
No.
Where do we go? What's the top cottagecore movies? Because I'm thinking now, I would say, what's a good cottagecore movie is My Neighbor Totoro.
Yes, Kiki's.
I think
Ghibli.
Yeah, basically almost every Ghibli movie is.
Even Princess Mononoke?
Well,
The Secret Garden in parts. The old Secret Garden, not the new Secret Garden. The movie freaking sucks. I hate it.
I just looked up cottagecore.
New Little Women.
Oh yeah. I looked up cottagecore on Letterboxd, and somebody said Picnic at Hanging Rock, which kind of like if you just looked at it from afar and you saw the pretty dresses, it'd be like okay. The actual movie itself, absolutely not.
What's that daytime horror movie with the flower crowns?
Midsommar.
Midsommar.
Kind of cottagecore.
Call Me by Your Name.
Yeah, cottage horror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone said Lord of the Rings. I mean, I guess maybe.
Is there a difference between like a movie that's mostly outdoors and a movie that is cottagecore? Like,
yeah. I don't know about this, guys.
Movie is cottagecore.
I mean, The Shire, I guess, is kind of cottagecore. But I don't know about
But, like Without a Paddle is not cottagecore.
It should be.
Somebody
Some
read
people are-
Paddle to make it cottagecore, please.
A lot of people are saying The Witch, which, like, guys, come on. That's I don't know about that.
I think they're just saying any outdoor movie is cottagecore. We need to rethink this.
Essentially.
Any final thoughts on Little Forest before we kind of just recap the series as a whole?
If you enjoy watching cooking shows and like good cottagecore vibes, then I would recommend it.
If you've played Harvest Moon or Stardew Valley, you probably don't like this movie.
If you like to stare at Windows 95 screensavers, you'll like this movie.
If you're Zach, you won't like this movie. If you're Julianna, you might kind of like this movie.
If you thought that the girls from The Handmaiden were hot and you want to see more of one of them, watch this movie, which is exactly what I did.
I would agree with you on that, but I would have like 4 Hong Sang-soo movies to recommend over this. I'd be like, come on.
Fair.
Yeah, because then Kim In-hee's involved in it.
See her planting, wearing plaid, hanging out with this other cute girl. Like, that's pretty good.
Dude, what's that? What is it? Hotel by the River. There's some cottagecore. It's just like Kim In-hee just being depressed in a hotel.
I mean,
There's literally a whole
score, I guess.
There's literally a whole scene where she's just like sleeping in a hotel bed and so comfortable looking.
Is Call Me by Your Name cottagecore?
yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's in the.
There's
It's
some
in the
cottages.
zone.
Outside.
I feel like
Call
it's
me,
like
Call Me by Your Cottage.
yeah. I don't know if it's a cottage. It's more of like a villa. It's villa core.
Villacore.
Cottagecore masturbation.
There you
That was really
Do you
remember.
So Jessica, as we come to an end on the food movie series, how are you feeling? I think we've covered all the. We didn't talk about chefs, so that was a win.
Why are you
Chef?
pooing on Chef all of a sudden?
Sure.
As Nathan said,
I don't understand.
Chef is a psyop. So
Okay, well, it's not. Just because Jon Favreau enjoys having chef friends and he likes cooking, doesn't mean that Chef is a bad movie. So let's just, anyways. So yeah, like I think the food movie series went well. I hope that everyone enjoyed it. I was going to preface the series with Tampopo because I think it's the ultimate food movie, and I don't remember if I did or not. We didn't include it in the series because we've talked about it so many times. But like to me, the ultimate food movie, the number one like movie in my heart is Tampopo, Always and Forever, and it's mostly because it shows like the quirky sides of food, and not everything in it is extremely serious, which I really love about it. It shows like how food habits can be embarrassing and how they're like societal things that we kind of like do to cover up like how much we love food or our urge to like squeeze food in a grocery store, which I think is a really great and unique way to show that. But one of my takeaways from this series, and I guess like people who have participated can give their takeaways also, is that I saw Babette's Feast for the first time, which I didn't watch and I didn't know it existed before we did the series and I was doing research for it. And I love that movie. Like I thought that Babette's Feast was extremely solid and showed like how we can share our culture with other people through food. And that is basically my career now with what I do. And so I thought that movie was great. And then with Ratatouille, like we saw food from more of like a criticism level, like being a food critic and a critic of basically anything and what that means. Jiro Dreams of Sushi was about passion and career and having a food career and kind of letting it take over your life. And then this is like food as escapism. So I think that people should, if you don't already think this, like cooking is an art form. I was like invited to a round table because I'm a baker for women creatives. And the energy was kind of like, it's weird because everyone here is like a painter or like a poet. And like, why am I here? But the lady like prefaced my intro with, I believe that baking is an art form and this is why you're here. And that was like, I almost cried like when she said that because I didn't really like think that people thought of it like that. And so I think that with this series, we were kind of tying like food and cooking is in an art form as well as filmmaking, which I think that the two just work so well together. And for people who are passionate about both of them, like these are your passions like coming together. And I think that is like very beautiful. So
God, well said.
Yeah.
Damn girl.
Thanks.
Yeah, you got it.
Thanks.
Well, we talked about it in the Ratatouille episode specifically, but I think that there's something about like thinking about like there's a nice relationship between food and like in movies and just like that kind of joy that it brings to like present the meal to somebody. And that's something that we see in every one of the movies that we've talked about, like that presentation and like kind of that gift to somebody. And I think that there's something meaningful like in a movie to kind of see that represented. You know, you think of just kind of the ending of Ratatouille where Anton Ego eats the ratatouille and like is kind of transported back to his youth. And I think that especially with like movies being a visual medium compared to something like theater or literature or something like that, where you have to kind of like you described like the sensory experience earlier, but like you kind of can see and hear and really like there's something about the whole culinary experience that is best represented in movies. And so I feel like this is kind of like it's the perfect marriage between mediums.
Yes, I would agree with that. I think that's a great observation.
All right. Well, that will wrap up this episode of Cinematary. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Cinematary, on Twitter and Instagram at handle @Cinematary, on Letterboxd at letterboxd.com/Cinematary, and on YouTube. If you go search Cinematary, you can watch us, or at least me, be incredibly stupid on a live stream after we record it.
Where, Zach? Nowhere. You're not stupid.
Thank you. You can also find us on Patreon, patreon.com/cinematary. If you go there, you can watch these recordings live. But thank you to our patrons: Cam, Chad Newsom, Christina Daughtry, Corey Willingham, Harry Eskin, Candace Sisson, Maggie, Michael Anthony Gonzalez, Ron Hayes, Titus Arthur, Tyler Chandler, and Whitney Rio Ross. Thank you so much for your patronage. Next week, we will be kicking off a new series. This one is curated by our friend Nathan Smith. We're going to be diving into music videos. I think we're going to kick it off with like kind of more of a broader just history of music videos, and then dive into more like specific ones. So we're going to have a bunch of music videos that are directed by Hype Williams. Then we're going to do Interstellar, to do two specific music videos. We're going to do Interstellar as well as Lemonade. And in between those, we're going to have our 350th episode of the podcast. But should be an interesting series. So it'll be fun with like this whole. If you have not been watching the videos, I would recommend watching the videos for the series, because I think we're going to try to get technical and like we're going to like play the video, the music videos a little bit while we're talking. So it's going to get crazy.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening, and we will see you next week.
Stay cool.
Bye.
Gosh, Jesse.
Stay cool.
All right. Goodbye, video people.
My head is hot.